Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, May 1st, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave your baseball picks down in the comments section below. If you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz.com at the Premium Picks tab. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so you can check that out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. These are the games for Sunday, May 1st. First up, we're going to take a look at the afternoon contest between the Boston Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles. Now, I'm not really crazy about this game because both of these projected starters have had their fair share of struggles this season, Nick Pivetta and Jordan Lyles. Now, Pivetta is coming off his strongest start of the year, where he only gave up 2 earned runs with 6 strikeouts against the Blue Jays in 4 2/3 innings, but he's still 0-3 with that 8.27 ERA on the season. He's given up 13 walks in those 16 innings, which is never going to get it done. He's also had issues with the long ball as well, and I really just can't trust him, especially at this kind of price on the road here. But on the other side, Jordan Lyles is coming off his worst start of the season, where he gave up 3 home runs and 6 earned runs, 7 hits in 4 2/3 innings against the Yankees. And I know it was at Yankee Stadium against a really tough offense, but the Red Sox, they have a pretty solid lineup as well. I know the series hasn't necessarily been the most high scoring, but I do think that if there was a game to go over the total, this would probably be it when you look at these starters. So I'm going to take the over here. I know the weather isn't the best for an over, but I just think these two pitchers continue to struggle until I see anything different. Next up, we're going to take a look at the game between the Minnesota Twins and the Tampa Bay Rays, with Chris Paddock and Josh Fleming on the mound for this one. Now, I think this is the kind of game where starting pitchers, where their records and their ERAs are a little bit misleading, as Chris Paddock 0-2 this season with the 3.68 ERA. When you look at his advanced numbers, he's got a 1.73 FIP so far with the Twins. He's done a good job at limiting home runs. He has not given up a single home run this season, and he's only given up 1 walk as well this year with 13 strikeouts and 14 2/3 innings. Not too bad for Paddock, and I think he'll have a strong outing here, just like the Twins pitchers did on Saturday against the Rays. But on the other side, Josh Fleming, although he got into trouble early against the Mariners last time out, he gave up 7 runs. They were all unearned. The defense made a few mistakes early in that game, and they couldn't get out of the inning, and it just got worse and worse. But it really wasn't Fleming's fault when you look at that. If you watch that inning like I did in real time, it was kind of just a gross one for the Rays defense. Fleming a 4.5 ERA on the season, but he's also got a really low FIP at 2.68. So both of these pitchers, the advanced analytics are on their side, and for that reason, I like the under at least in the first 5 innings of this one. We saw some offense late from the Twins on Saturday's game, and when Fleming does make his way out of the ball game, I could see some offense as well from Minnesota, but at least in the first 5, I like the under here. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates, with Joe Musgrove and Mitch Keller on the mound for this contest. Now, Mitch Keller, he has pitched in 4 games this season, and the Pirates have lost all 4 of those games by more than 2 runs. They lost 6-2 to the Cardinals, 7-2 to the Nationals, 4-2, and 12-8 both to the Brewers. And I think that the Padres are going to win this game by 2 or more as well. And this one, you look at Musgrove's numbers, he's actually pitched in 4 games as well. And in all those 4 starts, Padres have won by 2 or more runs, 5-2 against the D-backs, 12-1 against the Braves, 6-2 and 9-6 against the Reds in 2 straight games. And he's pitching fantastic, 2.16 ERA, 25 strikeouts in 25 innings. He's limited walks, he's limited home runs, and that's why he's got a 3-0 record with that .88 whip. So I think he performs at a high level again in this start, and with Mitch Keller's struggles early on, I just got to take the Padres on the run line on the road here. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, with Framber Valdez and Kevin Gausman as your starters here. Now, you look at Framber Valdez's numbers, having a pretty decent start to the year, 3.15 ERA. But where I worry the most with Valdez is he isn't missing a ton of bats. He only has 17 strikeouts in 20 innings of work. And he's had issues with the walks this year. 12 walks in 20 innings is not going to get it done, especially against a tough Toronto Blue Jays lineup at home. While on the other side, Kevin Gausman really hasn't made too many mistakes this season. Yes, he's given up a lot of base hits, 25 hits in 24 2/3 innings. But he has not allowed a single home run this season, and he's not allowed a single walk this year, which I thought was incredible. 24 2/3 innings with no walks allowed. He's missed bats too. He's got 31 strikeouts in those innings. That's 6th ranked in baseball right now. So I do think he is the better starting pitcher here. match it with the fact that the Blue Jays are at home with the better lineup. I got to take the Blue Jays in this spot on the money line. I think they're just the better team right now with the better starter. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Kansas City Royals with Luis Severino and Daniel Lynch on the mound. Now, going into this series, looking at the potential pitching matchups, I thought that on paper this would be the game that the Royals had the best chance at winning with Lynch on the mound. He has looked a lot sharper in his last 2 starts than he did in his first outing of 2022. But I still don't think it's enough for me to take a chance with the Royals here. I know you're going to get a really good price with Kansas City at home, but Luis Severino has pitched very well this year. The Yankees have won all the games that he's pitched in this season. The bullpen has been fantastic. I think it's the #1 bullpen in baseball, and the lineup has been so strong lately, scoring runs at a good rate, and just making it really tough for their opposition to make any kind of comeback in any of the games that they played. We saw a 12-2 final score, and that was only in 8 innings on Friday night. I don't know if this game's going to get that ugly, but I do like the Yankees on the run line here. I'll lay the -1.5. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Miami Marlins at Lone Depot Park. We're going to see Logan Gilbert and Sandy Alcantara as your starters here. Now, this should be a fantastic pitching matchup as we've got 2 guys that are performing at a very high level this season. Gilbert, 3-0 with a .4 ERA, and Sandy Alcantara, 2-0 with a 1.78 ERA. Now, I would think about taking the under here because I just think this is going to be a pretty good pitcher's duel. But I'm not sure there's a lot of value on the under because the total is set super low. Not a lot of wiggle room for us on an under play. So I think I'm just going to take the Marlins on the money line as the home team. The Marlins played their best ball at Lone Depot Park, as most teams play better at home. But the Mariners have really struggled on the road, not only this season, but in seasons past. And despite having a winning record overall this year, they do have a losing record on the road. I think that continues here. I also think the Marlins have the better lineup in terms of facing right-handed starters. The Marlins right now top 10 in the league in team OPS against right-handed pitching, while the Mariners are outside that top 10. So I like the Marlins bats a little bit more. I think both pitchers are solid, but if this game's close late, I like the home team in the Marlins on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Chicago White Sox with Michael Lorenzen and Dallas Keuchel on the mound here. Now, Michael Lorenzen's not my favorite starting pitcher on the planet, but I do think he's good enough to give the Angels 3 or 4, maybe even 5 strong innings against this White Sox lineup that has really struggled against right-handed pitching this season. On the other side, Dallas Keuchel is not somebody I back very often, and I can't back him in this spot either. The Angels have done a good job against lefties this year and righties, and I think they're going to be able to get to Keuchel in this start. We saw Keuchel give up 10 runs, 7 of them were earned against the Guardians back on April 20th, and that was only in 1 inning of work. He gave up 10 base hits in that one, and I really worry about him in this spot against such a stronger Angels lineup that is a bit frustrated after Saturday's weak performance. I think the Angels are the play here. I think they get some revenge on Chicago on Sunday afternoon. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Milwaukee Brewers with Marcus Stroman and Corbin Burns on the mound for this one. Not a lot of value, in my opinion, in this game. I don't love laying run lines with home teams because you don't get 9 guaranteed at-bats. If the home team is up by 1 after 8.5 innings, the game's over. You don't get another shot to get that 2-run lead. But with Corbin Burns on the mound and Marcus Stroman pitching the way he has, I really can't take the Cubs here. Burns, he did struggle a bit in his first outing of the season, but now he's at 1-0 with a 1.75 ERA, and I'm not really concerned with him at all this season. 33 strikeouts in 25 2/3 innings. He's limited walks. He's had a little bit of an issue with the long ball here and there, but again, against Marcus Stroman, who's 0-3 with a 6.98 ERA, guy who's only got 17 Ks in 19 1/3 innings, a 1.45 whip, I cannot back the Cubs in this spot. So it's run line on the Brewers or pass for me. Not a lot of value, like I mentioned. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks with Zach Davies and Jordan Hicks as your starters. Now, Zach Davies was a member of the Cubs last season, so he did get to see the Cardinals for 18 innings of work in 2021. He didn't fare too well. He had a 4.5 ERA. He also had 9 walks in 18 innings, so basically a walk every other inning. That's not what you like to see from any starting pitcher, and Davies has already had issues with the walks this season with 10 walks and 18 innings of work. He's also given up 3 home runs, and Jordan Hicks, although he's had mixed results as the opener this season, really the biggest issue is his team hasn't given him a lot of run support. His last 2 games, the Cardinals scored no runs in both of those starts. I do think they put up a few runs on Davies, and I think Hicks in the bullpen for St. Louis can do enough to get the win here. you got to be disappointed with their last 2 games, only scoring a combined 2 runs against the Diamondbacks on Friday and Saturday. I think we see some more offense similar to the game on Thursday from St. Louis. So give me the Cardinals on the run line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Texas Rangers with 2 lefties going at it, Max Fried and Taylor Hearn as your starters. Now, the official line for this game is not out yet, so we could see a late pitching scratch, perhaps. Always make sure you're getting the most up-to-date information before you go ahead and place that bet. But if we do see Fried and Hearn, I do like the Braves on the money line. Max Fried is in good form right now. He struggled at the start of the season. He gave up 5 earned runs against the Reds in 5 2/3 innings. But his last 3 starts since then have all been really quality outings. 2 earned runs in 5 1/3 against the Nationals. Then he had a shutout performance against the Dodgers, 7 innings of shutout baseball, and an Atlanta win on the road. And then he only gave up 1 earned run in 6 innings of work against the Cubs last time out. While Taylor Hearn has really struggled this season, 7.47 ERA. He's had issues with the long ball. He's got he's given up 4 earned runs his last outing, 5 earned runs the previous outing. He's walked too many batters for my liking as well. And the Braves have done a good job against lefties this season. So give me the Braves on the road as on the money line in this game. In our next game, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Colorado Rockies with Raver Sanmartin and Kyle Freeland on the mound here. Now, both starters have ERAs above 6, Sanmartin at 10.91 and 6.16 for Kyle Freeland. And, I know at Coors Field this year, we usually expect a lot of offense. It hasn't necessarily been the case this year thus far, and a lot of that has to do with the new baseballs that they're using in the league. And, some people are not too happy about that. But I do think in this game, we're going to see some offense from both teams. These teams usually combine for a very high-scoring battles. We've seen that in years past. We saw Friday night a 10-4 contest, and both bullpens are really in poor form this season. The Rockies have the 30th ranked bullpen in team ERA. The Reds are not far behind in 28th, and with 2 weak starters on the mound, I think we're going to see some runs early and often. So I'm going to take the over in the Reds-Rockies. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Washington Nationals with Josiah Gray and Alex Cobb as your starters. Now, I think this is another example of ERAs being a little bit deceiving, as although Gray and Cobb have ERAs above 4 this year, I think they're both pitching pretty well. Now, Alex Cobb, we have a pretty small sample size as he was injured after his last start on April 19th, so he's only pitched 9 1/3 innings. But in those innings, 14 strikeouts, no home runs allowed, and 2 walks. That's a real solid number. It's good enough to give him a .74 FIP. He's facing a really weak Washington Nationals lineup that's not done a good job against right-handed pitching this season. On the other side, we got Josiah Gray, who is going to have a little bit of more of a challenge in this one against a pretty good Giants lineup. But he's right now top 10 in baseball in strikeouts with 28 Ks in 20 innings. And he's coming off a performance with 10 Ks, 10 strikeouts against the Marlins. And he had 8 strikeouts in the previous outing against the Diamondbacks, so he's missing some bats. He just has to watch the home run ball, as he usually is good to give up 1 home run in a start. And he also has to limit the walks. But, there's no doubt that he is a top prospect pitching-wise for a reason. He's got good stuff, and he is going to be a top 2 starter, I think, in some team's rotation, whether it's the Nationals or a different team. And Gray this year has not given up a single run in any of his first innings this year. 4 outings, no runs in the first inning. Cobb did give up 1 run to the Mets in the first inning in his last outing, but like I mentioned, he's facing a pretty weak Nationals lineup that doesn't do too much damage offensively against righties. Again, I think you know where I'm going with this one. Give me the Nerfy, no-run first inning in the Nationals-Giants game. Next up, we see Tristan McKenzie and the Cleveland Guardians taking on James Caprillion and the Oakland Athletics. This will be Caprillion's season debut in the majors. He's pitched a little bit in the minors this year, and he's pitched in the majors in seasons past. But, in the minor leagues, he has not really fared too well. His ERA is a little bit high for me. He played a little bit of single A ball, triple A ball as well. And against the Guardians lineup, that's just done enough to win the first 2 games. They've just had situational scoring down pat. They broke their losing streak, and I think they're the better team here with the better starter. Tristan McKenzie, at times, he has struggled, certainly. A little bit inconsistent, which is a little scary at times. But I think facing a pretty weak Oakland A's lineup, and then your bats going to war for you on the other side, I got to take the Guardians here at a pretty good price here on the road. So give me the Guardians on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Detroit Tigers with Eduardo Rodriguez and Walker Buehler as your probable starters. Now, Walker Buehler was a guy I was a little bit concerned about going into the first few starts of the season, as I do think his strikeout numbers were concerning as they were down. He's known as a strikeout specialist, and he wasn't even getting a strikeout per inning. But last outing kind of wrapped it up for me. I think he's back, 10 Ks and 9 innings of work with no runs allowed against the Diamondbacks, 3 hits, a complete game shutout for Buehler, no walks allowed either in that start. He looked like the same old Walker Buehler that we've been seeing the last few seasons, and the Walker Buehler that was top 5 in the Cy Young performance last year. I think he has another strong start here, and Eduardo Rodriguez on the other side, 5.03 ERA. The advanced analytics are not on his side either. He's given up a home run in each of his last 3 starts. And in all 3 of those games, the Tigers have lost outright, with 2 of those games being run line losses as well. I think the Dodgers run line is the only way to play this game. Rodriguez just hasn't been sharp enough for me to take a chance with the Tigers. Next up, our final game of the night between the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies. This will be your Sunday night baseball contest on ESPN, and this should be a good one between 2 teams that do not like each other. And I think there's a big pitching mismatch in this game with Zach Eflin going up against Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer on a different level right now, a different planet. 20 strikeouts in his last 14 innings. That's his last 2 outings. 7 innings in both starts. He gave up 1 earned run to the Giants, and he gave up no earned runs against the Cardinals in his last 2. The Mets have won all 4 of the games that he's played in, and they've covered the run line in all 4 of those games as well. While Zach Eflin, sure, 3.2 ERA, not too bad this season, but he's not missing a lot of bats, only 15 Ks in 19 2/3 innings. And I do think a Mets lineup that's been great against righties can get to him early in this one. And I don't like the Phillies bullpen in this game either against the Mets lineup that's really done a good number on the Phillies this season. So give me the Mets on the run line behind Scherzer and the boys in the Big Apple. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday, May 1st. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks down in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.